Today we are going to try and demonstrate air layering. We're going to try and demonstrate it again because last time I screwed it up. This is a corn plant. No relation to corn whatsoever. I love common names. Dracaena warneckii. And as you can see, he has reached the limits of this room, or she. We don't want to get judgy. And we're going to take this plant and we're going to, right in the middle of it, propagate it. Basically, we're going to cut it partway through and propagate it there. And eventually, those will be able to be cut off and it will still grow from there. And then we'll be able to take the other plant and put it in the ground. So we're going to look at supplies first. And we have some Canadian moss. This is a sphagnum moss. And it's all dried up. And this is just sucked off the top of the peat bogs in Canada. It is a true moss, and it is a super absorbent thing, and a messy thing. There we go. So we have taken some of said moss, and we've soaked it ahead of time, and I'm making more of a mess. I should have got a bigger bowl. And see, now there's still a little bit dry in there, so I'm gonna just turn that over, and I should have got a bigger bowl, and soak that a little bit. I have a knife. I also have, somewhere, secateurs or snips or pruners or whatever you want to call them. And then we have stem root, which is, I think, indole butyric acid. And, ooh, it's from the Propagating company. I actually quite like the Propagating company. And this is a powder. And we're actually going to just tippity tap a little in this caplet here. And we're going to use that eventually. And believe it or not, we have plain old toothpicks. I bonsai'd the tree myself that I made these. Anyway, so A, B, C, D. This is you don't need this rooting hormone, but it helps. It helps the plant make roots, basically. And there are 3 different types. There's 1, 2, and 3 for softwood cuttings, semi-hardwood cuttings, and hardwood cuttings. And we want to use number 1. Most of the others, I think the others are liquids, and this one is a powder. So when I look at this tree, I'm trying to figure out where we want to propagate it. You can see probably someone's done it here a long time ago. And we're gonna, maybe I'll just ask my cameraman to come in here, because I'm thinking that maybe somewhere around here would be good. Before I do that, I'm gonna clean off some of these old leaves. You don't have to do this in the real world, but if we just clean this off, then it's going to be a little better. I might even take this one leaf off, and they kind of just sort of unfold from around the plant. It doesn't have to be perfect. Anybody who knows me knows that perfection is not my middle name. So there we go. We've got lots of space now to work with. We're going to set those there. I'm of 2 minds. Normally I would use a knife, and I think I'm still going to stick with that. Last time I went too far. I totally do that a lot. So we're going to come up through the stem, through these little lines here, about 1/3 of the way. And we want to use a nice sharp knife, which this one used to be. And I don't want to do what I did last time. And we're going to keep, I have a friend who's a safety guy. And we say, don't point the cutty stuff at the keepy stuff. So we just go that far through. And I think I did that better this time. And so we've come up about 1/3 of the way. Now we're going to get our rooting hormone and one of the toothpicks. And I just realized I don't have elastic bands, and I need elastic bands. So hopefully someone's listening. Too subtle? I'm going to get this wet a little bit with my toothpick. And I'm going to just try and get some of this on the toothpick. I'm going to bend this backwards while supporting it and get some of this rooting hormone. That actually works shockingly well. And I'm just cramming some of that rooting hormone in there. Now, I used to write columns, regular columns. Where did he go? Right. And I explained to people, because I couldn't do pictures back then, that you want to put the toothpick in like a dog holds a bone to keep that wound open, which seems a little counterintuitive. Okay, just like that. And then we're going to get our, that's why I brought the plastic bag. We're going to get our plastic bag. I thought it was just a whole toothpaste, but no. And we're going to cut this open. So basically it's a long, thin plastic sheet. Or you could just get a plastic sheet, anything that holds the water in. Ideally, you want to be able to see through it because eventually it's going to have roots in it, which is kind of cool. You're going to be able to actually see the roots. Wherever there are nodes, and a node is where a leaf joins the plant, it's also where there could be a growth point. Wherever there are nodes, you can have roots. The plant can make roots. So we're going to, good, I did that right, excellent. We're going to take that and we're going to take an elastic band and we're going to cut the elastic band in so it's one piece. Now it's an elastic strip, magic. And we're going to take this and we're going to wrap it around here. We're going to make it so it's going to overlap just a little bit, or a lot, doesn't matter, because we're going to be filling this up with sphagnum moss. And then this won't really need to be watered over the next 6 weeks, but if you keep an eye on it, it doesn't hurt, because you don't want it to dry out. Now it shouldn't, there's going to be overlap and so on. So we're just going to make a little canop there. And then we're going to take this and we're going to gently cram it full of our peat moss. And I want to kind of shred this a little bit. I want nice loose stuff. This is sort of clumpy, which is unusual. I use this in my terrarium as well, and it actually grows. It actually comes back to life even after two winters in the garage. So we're going to come up in here and then we're going to come down inside. Whoops, we're not going to knock the toothpick out of place, are we, Sean? No, we're not. And we're just going to slowly fill this up with sphagnum moss so that it covers all the way around this wound, so that it holds, it's to keep it moist is what we're up to here. Because as I said, this stuff really holds water well. So I'm trying to keep it sort of together. I'm always trying to keep it together. Test it a little bit. We're almost there. We might be there. We're just going to wrap this around and bring the top up. Wrap this around here. And this is going really well. As I say, where we made that cut, that's where the roots, easy. This is where things went sideways last time. Where we made that cut is where the roots are going to come from. I'm actually going to, I've thought about doing both of these stems, and I think I'm going to keep the other one for insurance. So in about 6 weeks, that's all we do. We'll be able to see roots in the peat moss. The roots will come out and come right to the edge. And if it looks like it's drying out, then we can just pull this open a little bit and put a little water in there. And this will absorb that and it'll keep that. I'm actually pretty happy with that this time, as opposed to last time. So you can do this with most long-stemmed tropical plants. So the ficus is like fiddle leaf fig or elastic plant. They're really easy to do. Any of the dracaenas, like Dracaena marginata, Dracaena werneckii, those are the most common ones that you might do. But you could do this on a citrus. It would take probably a little longer to do. I'm sort of walking through my house in my mind. You don't need to do it on stuff that you can regularly do cuttings from. If we cut this off, we could put it in water and it would probably grow. We would want to take about 3/4 of the leaves off if we were going to do that. But this keeps both halves alive while it makes roots here and also prepares the new shoots. It's very likely that when we take this all apart in 6 weeks or so, that we'll see new shoots starting on the stem inside here, just below where we made the cut, which is kind of cool too.